welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do a little discussion video, and I like to do these discussion videos about all types of different things, and I I've just kind of been a little out of my element with videos, not as much as I was before, but like I was getting things done, fixing my room like I mentioned before, busy with work. It was a summer program. It was totally and completely like just so many things going on that I had to focus on and give my attention to. So, like I mentioned before, I'm sorry if the videos ended up a little bit late. Sometimes I was putting out a video out and I had a really great idea for it, and I didn't have so much energy in the video as I would have liked to. But it's not like I didn't want to put it out or I wasn't excited to do it. It just kind of was like my energy was so depleted at that time, and so in some videos you can see it, in some not so much. But I hope you like them nonetheless. We're getting more back on schedule again, and so I'm just happy about that. But these discussion videos, like I said, I do a variety of different ones. Some about the most recent one I did was when I revealed that I had PTSD. Um, I have, since it's been about a year and a half since I've been diagnosed, so all is going well. And um, after that video went out, the amount of support that I got from people that I knew that watched it, and just like how many people watched it, like even if you didn't comment or like if there wasn't a comment left, just the fact that so many people were interested in watching that video, and that there were people who were watching it and feeling something, even if it was people who were close to me, like it just meant a lot. So this discussion video, like I said, I make them about all kinds of different things, and some of them focus on the educational aspect, like I've talked about the CSET, the CBEST, how I presented at a conference, and all that jazz. So this one is just kind of more in that general aspect of things. It's about the time that I was reached out by a scholarly journal to publish one of my conference papers that I put out. I have presented in two conferences. One was, I think you can find it online. It was in Shanghai, but it was virtual, and I got to submit a video, and they just got to play it. The other one, I think it was somewhere in the Netherlands. I'm not quite sure. I know that the name of that conference was the Women's. It was like this very long name. The thing with conferences is they are sometimes like in all these different places around the world with these like long names, and like sometimes, like, at least for me, I don't even know why my paper got accepted, and I was just like, okay, yay. And then I went to, like I talked about in a prior video, how I kind of had like imposter syndrome when I was presenting, because it was like, how did I get accepted, and all these other people, they're so amazing and so like otherworldly, like in the way that they talk and everything. Like I don't even like match up to these people. Like, do I even belong here? And like from a little, girl from a small town, like, it just like it just feels so overwhelming. And it's not that I don't feel like I have the talent to get in. It's just kind of like it's surreal. It's like, what is happening right now? And it's so out of your element. And then there's some conferences, like I've had friends who participated in conferences where it's like they know what's going on. Now I have yet to attend one of those conferences where I'm like, okay, I know what's going on here, like, all right, cool. But they've done more local ones where I submitted like right in the middle of the pandemic, and it, you know, it was hard to travel and everything, and find conferences. Um, and it felt like I was getting accepted to a lot of them. And I'm not saying that had anything to do with the pandemic, but it just was a real like time where it was just like I was applying. They weren't doing them in person. There was a lot of vacancies, but at the same time, it was hard to find them. And it was in a lot of like obscure places, and like for like other random conferences that you would find. And it's not that they weren't legit, it just was like all these other interesting named conferences were just coming out of nowhere, because everything was online, and they were like accepting papers online all of a sudden, and it was being like a more broad thing, and like it was all these different things. So it just was kind of like, I think they took that time to be like, hey, like check out this conference that like we don't normally accept papers from like the US, but like hey, or like this conference doesn't normally get a lot of people, but like now that everything is online, it's like hi, and then I was researching conferences a lot, because we had to do it for a school assignment. So it just kind of fell into my lap, like, and yeah. Uh, so that whole experience about my first presentation that I did, that one was at, what was it? 3 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning. Did not stay the full time, and I had to present at, I think it was like 3:30. And yeah, it was an experience for sure. I definitely want to apply for more conferences. I'm just like right now taking a break from that because I did do two already, and it's like it's recommended to do like two, especially if you want to do a PhD, maybe some more. And I do want to do some, but I do want to do some more in the field that I'm interested in, and when I want to do my PhD, and then also like conferences that I like know about a little bit more and like that kind of jazz, like more like local ones. Like I feel like I just need to attend one where I don't have like a moment where I'm like staring at the audience and it's all these different people who speak all these different languages and have all these different accents and all this different education, and like it just it's mind boggling. But nonetheless, I was grateful for the experience. Um, but during this time, I submitted a paper that got accepted to a conference, and I presented on it. And I believe there was this fake journal that was circling around. I'm not going to say names because I don't want to, that was circling around. And at the time, I was still like not really aware of these types of things. I was still kind of getting my footing in on things and trying to do my research and make sure that like I was doing everything according to how I was supposed to. I was still like in the mindset that I wanted to do a PhD program like right away and all this stuff. And I just was like still new at it. And they, I guess, saw my video because it is on YouTube, and of me presenting, and they offered to publish my paper. And the email, I noticed right away, was a little weird in terms of formatting and in terms of the way that it was written. It had like different fonts for certain things, it had different colors, it had large sections to separate certain paragraphs. There was like a little bar graph, like it was like typed up in like a graph, not in a bar graph, but like in a graph, and then like there was like one little chunk of information there and another chunk of information, so it was just kind of weird. And the way they formatted it was, we would like to be your friends and this and that, but first of all it was like, hi Amber, we want to publish your article in a journal, So, if you would like to go ahead and do that, please contact this person and this. And then it went into, we would like to be your friends, and we would like you to obviously recommend us to your friends and other people. And if you want a job, like, it started going a little bit weird from there. And um, at first I didn't find it sketchy. I just kind of was like, okay, this is a little weird. But then, like, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, but I just thought maybe like it was someone who spoke a different language and they were like trying to translate to English, and this is the way it came across. And I didn't want to be that person who was just like, oh, they're not official or any, like, but it still sounded weird to me. And the thing is, I have worked, like, I've presented in another conference, and I was in touch with someone who spoke a different language, and sending it to another country that spoke a different language and contacting these people, and they were like translating stuff through email, and like they, like, it did not come across this way, was like, even though certain things were translated like in ways that maybe I wouldn't have said it, it just like it didn't like sound like that. And at the time I just wanted to give the person the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, okay, like, like maybe, like, it just was like a thing that happened. And so I was like, okay. So I submitted. I didn't even submit like information. Like, I just like, they wanted me to like put my paper in the correct format that they wanted and everything. And so like that's when I was just like, okay, like that's fine. And so I went and I did the paper in the correct format and the way they wanted, and I emailed them, and it was like maybe 10 o'clock at night, and I received an email very quickly. And this conversation kind of went until maybe 12 in the morning. But like they responded very quickly, and I was just like, that's bizarre. And they're like, oh, like, actually, like, you did this wrong. Can you maybe fix this up so that way it's in the right format? And for me, that seemed legit. And I was like, okay, like, that makes sense, even though it was that time in the day. But I was just like, maybe they just work at night. I was like, okay, sure, yeah, yeah. And I fixed it and I did everything that they wanted, and they were just like, okay, great, awesome. And then they're like, we'll get back to you with the estimate. We're going to count your words and this and that. And it took about a week. It took a while for them to like submit, like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost and this and that. And so I didn't think anything of it. I didn't know that to submit into a journal, it does not cost, or it shouldn't cost something. And if they want to publish your work, obviously, they will not charge you. Maybe later on in the process, certain things are going to cost money, but that is something that should not. But I did not know that at the time. And so I was just like, okay, all right, that's how many words. And they're like, do you have any other essays that you want us to publish? And I guess that should have been a red flag. And I was like, yeah, I have this other one that I presented at this other conference. They're like, great, send it in. We'll see if we can accept it. And they accepted that one too. And I was just like, okay, all right, I'll try to get the money. And then right before I was about to send the money, I there was just something in me that was like nagging at me, and I was just like, you know what, I should research this, and a couple of websites were saying that this was a legit company and everything. Other ones were saying that it was legit, but it took a while to do stuff. And then there were other people, and this ended up being a lot of other people who were like, no, it's a scam. Like, don't do it. Don't send in your money. Journal should not ask you for money, and they should not, you should not send them any money because then you probably won't hear back from them, or whatever the case may be. Some people had heard back from them and like got like, there was like a fake journal that went around with like certain people. Like it just was like, okay, like, but like it was a journal that they got like in the mail, and it was not like legit, but the thing was there. And like, I don't know, maybe they just threw something together. It was like here, and it wasn't even like worth the money. um because they did have a book for sale like on their website. It was just all these weird sketchy things. And then like once I thought more about it, I was like, oh, okay. And then I found like it was like on a, I don't know what, it was like on one of those Yahoo pages kind of thing. Do those even exist anymore? I don't know. It was like one of those pages where like people ask questions. um and someone asked, hey, what does this email mean? Like, and it was phrased exactly for a different journal the way I had received mine, and I was like, okay. And they're like, journals who phrase things like this is like they're scammers. Like, you know, like they phrase they phrase their emails exactly like this. And I'm like, why would each scammer like write their email the exact same way? Isn't that like a cause for like, hey, like that's a scammer, you know, like we shouldn't do, because like, you know, like you think they would be smart about that, but like no. So then I was like, okay, all right. And then they were like, don't submit anything to them, not even your work, because they could like copy it and use it. And I'm just like, man, I was like, that makes sense now. But then like I was like, why would they want me to do it in a specific format? Like maybe they wanted it to look. I don't know. Like I don't know. Maybe they wanted to look official for their fake book. I don't know. And so, um, basically, I didn't go through with it, and they kept emailing me and being like, hey, are you gonna, you know, we've been reaching out, and it wasn't like, hey, are you gonna submit the money? It was just kind of a, we've been trying to reach out to you, and it was like professional like writing and all this stuff. And it was just like every single time I got those emails, I was like, is it a scam? Like there's this thing in the back of your head where it's like, was it legit, was it not? But I think it was a scam because of this, and I'm pretty sure it was a scam. But then when I kept seeing the emails, it kept feeling either very persistent or like deep down I'm like, did I miss out in an opportunity, you know, like, because like each time this email, like, and I think that's the point of these emails, it's like, oh, maybe I should, like, you know, and it gets inside your head and all this stuff. And so that's what they use to like manipulate people and all this stuff. And then I had sent to one of my mentors from a grad program. They were one of my teachers while I was doing my master's. And I said, hey, like I got accepted to this journal and this and this and that before I did my research. And I didn't submit like what the name was or anything. And the thing is, the essay that I submitted for him, I had talked about this before. I did get published in Google Scholar, so it was published. And I did mention to them, I was like, hey, is it cool that I got this published in somewhere else as well? Is this okay if like I send it out to this journal? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, but your information said it shouldn't be published before. And they're like, no, it's okay. Like that's something different. It's from a conference. It's fine. And I'm like, okay. And I just believe them. But basically, like there's all these like little technicalities that I still don't know about. Like if you submit it somewhere, it shouldn't be published somewhere else, but like certain things are okay and stuff like that. So that's what I thought, and I was just like, okay, like, and I believe them. And then he sends me an email. He's like, you sure it isn't like one that's like sketchy and everything? Like there's all these people like trying to like, you know, get your money out there and everything. But he's like, if it isn't, congratulations. And like the fact that that's the first thing that he brought up, like it was like, it made me question, you know, this. It wasn't the first thing that made me question. I did receive the email while I was still kind of debating if like I should, you know, submit the money or not, like if it was a fake or not. I was still kind of doing my research at the time. But like what initially made me start doing like the research was just me like feeling something in my gut where I was like, I should probably look into this. Wait, I'm glad I did. Um, but if you are a scholar, if you want to apply for conferences and get your papers published in academic journals, definitely watch out for that, especially if your conferences are public, like mine was on YouTube, because they put it on YouTube after they showed it on the conference. I don't know if I mentioned that. Um, so just be aware of that, especially like for academics, there's a lot more scams than I realized. Because these people are trying to do, you know, good in education and better their lives and stuff, and people abuse of that. So, yeah, that's my story on that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all real soon. Bye!